The San Jose Sharks are victorious on Military Appreciation Night and the return of Joe Pavelski back to the tank in about a couple of years. We'll break down the victory. We'll break down people mowing lawns, people getting assists, and people almost getting a shutout. Right now, this is Teal Town After Dark. Good evening, everyone. It is Saturday night, December 11th, 2021. The Sharks are victorious over the Dallas Stars 2-1. We're going to break it down right now. And as we welcome you to Teal Town After Dark, this is your live interactive Sharks postgame. We do this after every game, so if you want to be part of the show, chat with us and fellow Sharks fans on the page or the app. Follow us on the social, Twitter, Instagram, Facebook. Hit that subscribe button on the YouTube channel, SoundCloud, Reddit, Discord, and find everything at tealtownusa.com. And of course, if you're watching us live, there's a new feature on there. It's our poll question, and on our tonight's poll question, we ask you which Sharks player deserves to go to the All-Star game in Vegas in February. You have your choices down there, whether it's Hertl, Meier, Karlsson, or Reimer. So check your vote, and let's see who you think should go rep for the Sharks at the All-Star game in February. And speaking of Vegas, you are in for a treat, ladies and gentlemen. Joining me tonight, oh my gosh, you are promoting your show already tomorrow, my friend. Joining me tonight, it is Hockey Jerk. What's up, bud? Long time no chat.
This isn't my show. I gotta, what happened here? I was under the impression that this was something else. No, I'm good, buddy. How are you?
I'm doing good. Now, of course, we can't let you promote the entire show with your pucknologist tomorrow. We got to show off what you were wearing, that new Stadium Series jersey you wanted.
Oh, my God.
Oh, no. God.
What is this?
Oh silicone.
Oh, wow. That's something.
That's something.
I'll give you that.
That's bad, and I can't do that to you. We'll make it a little bit better for you. There you go. Just a little bit. But let's get at it as the Sharks take on the Dallas Stars for the first time in forever, it seems like, since COVID occurred. Of course, Pavelski returns, so that's a big old whoop-de-doo to a few people. James Reimer gets his 400th game. And then, of course, Brent Burns overtakes some guy named Patrick Marleau in consecutive games played in a Shark sweater. But, early on, like Shalana Goldman, our good friend, said, it was kind of ho-hum at first.
Yeah, the game started, it was very Dallas. Like, Dallas was all over them. I think at one point, the shots on goal, I want to say, were 14-5. Yeah. So that kind of gives you an idea of how things were going to start the game. I mean, pretty lucky, all things considered, that Timo Meier was able to aim for Hertl's pants and get him on the board early.
Yeah. So Meier with the accurate shot that hits off of Hertl's breezers off the post and in to make it 1-0 San Jose. About 8.5 in. That was pretty much all you had besides Karlsson, tripping up a Stars player. That Dallas power play looked really dangerous. Pavs had a ton of chances on that first Dallas power play.
Well, and it's worth saying as well. I mean, Timo Meier is just that good. That's how he drew that shot up. He went over to the bench and Bob said, "Okay, look, you want to hit Tommy in the pants, and it's going to go in," and it happened. So it was awesome. But no, I agree that the power play for the Dallas Stars, they were good. Like I said, the first period was definitely the best period for Dallas. They got a lot of shots early on. They were snapping it around, doing all that. Winning face-offs. I mean, really, the only thing that didn't go wrong for them was they didn't score a goal. But other than that, everything was clicking for them in the first period.
Yeah, I mean, like you said, 14-6 in the shot total. They looked really sharp. It's just that Holtby let that one in because it deflected off of Hertl's butt. And as we know, we like
That's
big
how he
butts.
drew
And
it
we
up.
can't, yeah, and that's how he likes big butts, and we cannot lie.
No.
Of course, Weatherby would take a puck over a glass penalty near the end of the period, but like you said, the first period very dominant in Dallas, despite the 1-0 goal. In second period, I thought the Sharks kind of dictated the play a little bit more.
Mm-hmm.
You get Gurionov with the slash, and I don't know, that seemed a little on the light call. I mean, yeah, I guess looking at the replay again, it got maybe the glove of Burns, but it didn't look like it was too much.
Right, and I think too, like if you're breaking it down from, okay, according to how the rule book's written and how the referees want to call it, like that's, they got it right according to that.
Right.
But ever since Johnny Gaudreau threw his tantrum, and that led to every glove tap being a slashing penalty, we've seen calls like this. And again, I love a Sharks power play as much as the next person, but that one was pretty soft. I don't really feel like that impeded Brent Burns all that much.
No, I didn't think it was much at all. Whether it got the stick, got the glove, either way, it didn't do anything for the Sharks. They didn't capitalize on it, but it definitely showed that, they're getting the puck to Karlsson. He's just like gripping and ripping a lot now, and of course, despite after like Nieto taking a holding call, the Sharks would get a second goal from Erik Karlsson to make it 2-0. Dallas would challenge this. I thought at first it was offsides, which is why the linesmen were looking at it. But it ends up being a goaltender interference challenge. And what did you think of it? Do you think they had an argument?
I mean, I think it's definitely something, something worth taking a look at, right? I mean, obviously, when they showed the overhead cam, I mean, that was kind of the perfect viewpoint of it. Barabanov was obviously there in front, as was Hertl. And, a little bit of contact, but I think considering, the fact that Hertl was tied up there by the Stars player, I don't see a scenario where that would have come back. But I think, if you're confident that you can kill the penalty, which obviously Dallas is, I say why not challenge that? Though I'll be honest with you, I actually didn't even know that it was being challenged to begin with, because as soon as I saw that it was Erik Karlsson who scored, I was getting ready to tee up AJ. And so, when I realized the play's not going on, I'm like, okay, hold on. I'm going to send the message yet, because, God forbid I fire him up, right? And then it was all for nothing.
Premature firing not allowed.
Yeah, exactly. But you mentioned too, Karlsson just ripping the puck, quite a bit lately, and he had, he had 5 shots on goal tonight, and even going prior to tonight, he's been shooting the puck a lot. Obviously, been scoring goals aplenty, as they say. I mean, he's got his 8th goal tonight, which, if you can believe it, ties his career high for goals in a season while on the Sharks. Ties it with last year, and we're only 22 games in, but it seems like every goal Karlsson scores is a slap shot, and it's kind of like, at what point does Bob say, if it's on your stick, rip it, and we'll figure it out,
yeah. Yeah, absolutely. And I think more than anything, I think that's what he needs to do. I mean, we've seen him kind of hesitate and then like root around the boards on the power play or what have you. It just seems like there was that hesitancy, and now, I'm glad to seeing he's shooting it. I'm glad to seeing he's, if anything, like we saw with the Hertl goal that got things going. Throw the puck on the net. Anything can happen. It could deflect off a button in, for mind you, just to get something on the board, or just make the goaltender, get uncomfortable.
Well, and that's the thing. What's, especially in that position, you've got pressure in the offensive zone. You've got the cycle set up. You take a slap shot from the point, yeah, okay, the puck could hit something and bounce all the way out to the neutral zone, and maybe Dallas gets a breakaway, but that's highly unlikely, I would say. I mean, the most likely worst case scenario is the goalie makes a save and, oh, hey, you got another offensive zone faceoff. Like, that's the worst case scenario. Best case scenario, it goes in, or to your point, Eric, it hits somebody's pants, somebody's helmet, hits something and goes in, or, hits the goalie, drops in front of him, and somebody slams it home. It's one of those things where it's like, yeah, it's definitely a low percentage play. Like, you're not going to score from the point all the time, but you can generate a lot of offense from the point just by putting it on the net.
Right. And making that, and that's why Burns, and not to, because he's was in the building, I'm going to mention him. That's why Burns and Pavelski worked so well, because Burns would just, quickly wrist it, and there was something in the way. And so the Sharks kind of got away with, from that for a couple of years. Now it's like, okay, we're getting traffic in front of the net. We're getting, we're not necessarily like leaving the slot open or somebody to tip it. It's trying to get to the net, maybe pick up the rebound, push it in, or just hit somebody. So, I like it. And I think the Sharks need to keep doing that, because it's generating more chances. It's getting the forwards involved with the shots from the points, especially from Burns, but definitely Karlsson. Yeah, that clapper goes in. Awesome, great, wonderful. But if not, then you have that loose puck, and you just keep going with it. So,
well, and the thing with Karlsson too, and this one's for AJ, but the big criticism of Karlsson in pretty much his entire tenure as a Shark has been, yeah, okay, he gets the points, but what else is he doing, right?
Right.
And it's like, okay, you take a look at the numbers tonight. 5 shots on goal, as we mentioned, had a hit, 2 blocks, and a takeaway. Like, he's making things happen in, other areas besides goals and assists. And I mean, I'm not ready to say, oh yeah, pay him every penny of that contract, but no. he's definitely, like, he's leading the blue line. I mean, and even if you absolutely despise Erik Karlsson, like, that's an indisputable fact,
No, he's definitely leading them offensively. Burns had that long stretch where he was on the schneid, but he was definitely getting some chances.
Well, here's the other thing, though. During that point streak for Burns, who was out of the lineup?
Erik Karlsson.
So,
yeah,
kind of furthers that narrative that maybe there's only room for one of them.
Dun, dun,
I don't know.
Dun.
That's another conversation. Tune in tomorrow. No, I'm just kidding.
Right. So I have you in another outfit change. Personally, this is my favorite.
Oh, that's beautiful, dude. If that was a real shirt, I would wear that. I'm not even lying. That is a beautiful shirt. That is. I'm telling you right now, and I mean this totally honestly. Everybody can hear. That is my favorite Photoshop you've ever done. Does it have something to do with carving AJ? Maybe, but I think it's exceptional because, that's kind of, we every so often something really outlandish will slip out of our mouth, and it spurns a graphic and months of inside jokes. I still have people on the Discord, people on Twitter, like, kind of DMing or tweeting me like, hey, you fire up your lawnmower today, like, so. It's all about engagements, right?
That's right.
Getting those clicks, and if you subscribe, you get more of these awesome quips. So you definitely want to do that.
Absolutely. Appreciate the kind words, my friend.
Yeah, of course.
Third period, I thought the Sharks were trying to play a little bit more shutdown hockey, trying to make sure that they get Reimer his shutout. Unfortunately, Raffl gets his third to end the shutout bid from Fox and Hakanpää. We'll get to more of Hakanpää in a sec here, but let's talk about Reimer making his return from what we originally thought was an illness. Turns out he was kind of dealing with a little bit of a lower body injury.
Yeah, I mean, you wouldn't know that from watching how he played tonight. He was a little, he was a little fumbly early in the game. Giving up a lot of rebounds, and I think Randy mentioned that on the broadcast as well. But he was really good with his glove tonight. Really good at corralling those rebounds and kind of seemed like a situation where he played better as the pressure was on, right? Because it's like the goal by Michael Raffel, it was it was like a quick play, like it was in and it was out, right?
Right.
And not, I mean, a goal's a goal, right? But it's kind of like, okay, it sort of just happened, and that was really it. Versus, the Dallas Stars, they kind of had the Sharks under siege, especially in the first and the later stages of the third period. And Reimer, he stood tall. He was a brick wall in the net. You know what I mean? And I think too, something that we saw, which we've not seen in the past, is it seemed like everybody else on the ice recognized what was going on, how well Reimer was playing them, despite the fact that the Stars had them under siege, and they were stepping up for Reimer. They were collapsing. They were getting in the way of shots. They were clearing the puck away if Reimer couldn't get to it. It was very good defensive effort tonight, as it's been all season, I would say.
Yeah, and you definitely can feel the fend off the whole team chemistry feel that we've been hearing from the team the entire year, how they're like playing for each other and everything. You could definitely see them playing for each other and definitely trying to work together as a team. I mean, taking shots like we saw Mario Ferraro blocking shots without even attempting to block shots. He got one like right underneath the elbow.
Yeah.
Doing what it takes, making a hit. You saw Kevin Labanc take a big hit from Hakanpää in the first period. He didn't return to the game. We haven't heard anything from Boogie yet about that. But you see what these guys are trying to do, and you see like whether or not you have like, Gadjevich, who played only 744, or Weatherby trying to, be those guys that just be the shutdown line. Now, granted, with Labanc out, it kind of threw everything off a little bit, but there are rules here. We talked about like Bonino and Cogliano, who played his first game against Dallas tonight. Have those roles and do extra things.
Right. And I still believe that in an ideal scenario, right, in a Stanley Cup scenario, if you will, I still think Cogliano and Nieto belong on the fourth line, not the third line. But at the same time, if the Sharks are getting wins with the way they're deploying things, and more wins than losses, I might add, which they currently are, if you can believe it. So, there's obviously things you wish could be a certain way. I mean, I would, after it's all said and done, I would love to see a Labanc, Bonino, Balcers third line.
Yeah.
But not really, it's not really what is going to work for the team right now. What they've been doing is what's working, even though I personally don't think Labanc should be on the fourth line. But as I said, the Sharks are winning more than they're losing, so you kind of just have to basically just ride it out until it stops working.
So on Labanc, because I'm kind of with you on this a little bit, where why are you having this $4+ million guy who's supposed to be, the scoring, one of your scoring wingers, be on the fourth line? I mean, yes, we've seen Gadjevich has some offensive touch in the AHL, hasn't shown it in the NHL just yet, and maybe he isn't even, that role isn't even for him. But to have that along with Weatherby, I mean, no respect to the guys, but I'm with you. He should be moved up a little bit just to give it a chance, or worst case scenario, try to showcase him.
Right. I mean, that's the thing that's kind of bothered me really from the beginning, and we've talked about it on the Pucknologists probably too much. But you have a player like Kevin Labanc. I mean, his, the way he turns your crank is with his talent in the offensive zone. He has a really good shot that I think he doesn't use as much as he should. He passes very well, and he's being put into a position where he can't show off those talents. I mean, he's been on the third or fourth line, which generally get penalty killing assignments, generally start in the defensive zone, and the line mates, the players he's played with, good players,
Yeah.
just not the right players for what LeBanc needs. And so I think you can make the argument that truly elite players can make anything happen no matter who they're with. But for somebody like LeBanc, I don't think it's such a big deal that you have to play him with other good players. I mean, if everybody's clicking, what does it matter, right?
Right. I mean,
So it's perplexing to me. But as I said, if the Sharks are going to keep winning more than they losing, I just think you, unfortunately, ride it out until it doesn't work.
and it kind of goes into the form of like, if it ain't broke, don't fix.
Mm-hmm.
Not to get all cliche like that, but at the same time, it's like, like keep doing what's been making you successful, and it's go ahead.
I was just gonna say, speaking of successful, there's been a lot of talk. Oh, LeBanc's not where we want him to be. Balcers isn't where we want him to be, and all these things, right? The Sharks are getting They're getting contributions from the top six. I mean, and we've seen this story before, right? Where the bottom six maybe could stand to do a little more, while the top six has been dynamite. But the top six, I mean, we've been questioning the top six for 2 years now. I mean, and how many times have we said, well, yeah, it's Couture and Hertl and then Timo Meier, and it's like, where do you go from there, right? And Barabanov is on pace for 50 points this year, which is unreal to me. Noah Gregor's looked good there, using his speed, using his shot, and he's playing physical as well. When you're talking about, keep doing whatever it is you're doing, as they say, like, I think the top six has been very good, and I'd love to see the Sharks build on that if they do end up finding themselves in a position where maybe they could sniff playoffs.
Yeah, I mean, in playoffs, it's not out of far fetch. I mean, I don't know. To me, this is kind of where the Sharks were going to be in my mind, just be on that cusp. And like with the victory tonight, they're at 31 points. Winnipeg does have a game in hand, so they hold down that last playoff spot. But being in that spot where they're right in the thick of it. I mean, you're 5 points behind Calgary for first in the division, but granted, LA and Dallas are at 28, Vegas right behind you at 30. I mean, 9 spots separate, by 8 points in the division, or just in general a playoff spot.
Well, and it shows how important these upcoming division games are. Like the way I've kind of been looking at it is like, you've really got a good opportunity here to, number one, make up some ground. I mean, obviously, as you mentioned, the Sharks are 4th in the Pacific Division, but also make up some ground as well as pull yourself up higher in the standings, right? I mean, the next 5 games are against divisional opponents: Seattle, Vancouver, and Edmonton, and Anaheim. Those, I mean, will the Sharks roll through and go 5-0? I mean, that would be epic. But
yeah,
I don't know that they will. But I still think and kind of like what I was saying before, you need to win more than you lose. And Seattle's not a very good team. Vancouver's not a very good team. I'm pretty high on Anaheim, but the high's got to wear off at some point.
Right.
The Sharks have a really good opportunity to kind of storm up a little bit. I mean, if Calgary and Edmonton, they're good, but to me, Anaheim is punching up, and when they inevitably fall down, that 3rd spot is up for grabs, whether it's Vegas, whether it's San Jose, whether LA kicks it into another gear. I don't know, but there's an opportunity.
And there's definitely a chance for them to gain ground. Plus, now you're getting into your division where you're going to have these big 4-point games. Yeah, you have Seattle coming up, you have Vancouver coming up, and they're down in the standings. But you're definitely going to see that Anaheim squad. You're definitely going to see, an Arizona squad that's, yes, they're in the Central now, but they're down and out. You need to kick their butt. No matter how many times Phil Kessel kicks you in the butt this past season. Crap. Well, go ahead.
I mean, I was just gonna say, to your point, right? Like talking about the Arizona Coyotes, they've lost 82% of their games this year.
Oh God!
Like you have to take care of business.
Don't tell me that the whole thing with their arena is distracting them.
Right, and the Flyers are in the playoff hunt in the Eastern Conference, but they're not a very good team this year.
Right,
and and even if you want to say, oh well, yeah, the division's great, but the Sharks may end up in the wild card spot. Well, okay, that's fine. They've beat the Jets twice. They just beat Dallas tonight. Like,
they've beat Calgary twice too.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like, I think ultimately you and I would both love for them to be in a better position, but all things considered, especially what people were saying about where this team was going and what they were going to do, kind of hard to be upset right now.
Right. I mean, 15, 12, and 1. I mean, we expected them to kind of hover over 500.
Mm-hmm.
But, I mean, if you want to, take it as you will. 3 games over NHL 500, 2 games over, overall 500. I mean, it's pretty solid.
Right.
So, overall, a nice solid victory from the Sharks. 2-1 the final. Defensively, they've been playing great, getting back to what they were doing at the beginning of that road trip and everything. So, all around great to see. I mean, 34 saves from Reimer too. Nice for them to get it out.
And that's the other thing too. We're talking about all-stars here, and I'm sure we'll get into that down the road here a little bit, but you on your poll that you mentioned, which is in the YouTube chat, if you've not yet voted, please do. Yep. Among starting goalies in the NHL, James Reimer, 5th in goals against average, 1st in save percentage. I've heard that's good.
I heard that could be pretty good.
That's what people are saying.
Yeah,
but I don't know.
For you, where would you put? Who would you pick? Meier, Hertl, Reimer, Karlsson.
I mean, okay, so I did vote in the poll. I chose Timo Meier just because, the points are hard to argue with, right? And I feel like I feel like ultimately there might be some goaltenders within the Pacific Division that do end up edging out James Reimer. John Gibson comes to mind, even though he has, he's kind of been up and down a little bit, but I still think he could ultimately get a call. Cam Talbot. Wow. Okay, that was a total.
When did Minnesota come back into the Sharks division?
Right. No, I'm sorry. Mikko Koskinen has been very good for Edmonton. In the absence of Mike Smith, obviously Jacob Markstrom. Jacob Markstrom, I think you could almost book it that he's there now. So I think you could make a very good argument that Reimer belongs there, but ultimately I don't think he would end up there just because of the other guys around him. But Timo Meier's a safe bet. Hertl, the way he's been playing lately, he's a safe bet. I think he's on pace for like 38 goals now, which is, again, that would be awesome. So
absolutely,
we'll see. It's a lot to chew on, and February is a long ways away. So
yeah, we brought this on because the whole NHL voting starts today, which I think is just asinine that we're only going to vote for one player now, just because we don't want John Scott to happen again. Yeah, well, that turned out to be the best PR story you had, you idiots. So, speaking of people that aren't idiots, Kevin Lacey has joined us here. I know, awkward segue. Just forgive me. I don't do this as good as Ian does with you two. How are you, Kev?
Speaking of not idiots, okay.
Hey, where am I going with this?
These kind of intros are why I haven't been on After Dark in 8 months. No, I'm kidding.
I love you
glad
too,
to be
Kev.
here.
Thanks.
I'm hoping that my connection is okay because I seem to be AOLing over here, and this is not Puck Guy's fault this time.
Whew.
So, but happy to be on, joining you. I just came back from the Sharks game that you guys have been talking about. A fun win, not a pretty win, but a win's a win, right? And a roll's a roll.
Hey, as a sign I saw in '94 during the playoffs, we love ugly hockey,
That's right.
and
That's right.
hopefully like ugly intros to that too. So quickly, I'll get your thoughts, Kev, on this one. Besides it being, not a pretty um, victory, but what would you say from this one at the tank tonight?
I heard you guys mentioning earlier, Bonino and Balsers not necessarily being in the roles that you would like them to be on right now, and talking about LeBanc, but I do think that Bonino, Cogliano, and Nieto, which I'm going to call the O line, despite the fact that they bring no O whatsoever and all D. The O line was actually quite effective in the O zone tonight, much to my surprise. I actually thought they were the most consistently efficient line against Dallas, and in this game that was definitely more on the defensive side. I thought they were really good on the forecheck and pressuring at both ends and doing their jobs well. I mean, they were the line that was entrusted at the end of the game to stop Dallas's push with the extra skater, as you would expect them to be. But I mean, like, it wasn't just a role thing. I honestly think that they deserved to be out there in those last 90 seconds or whatever it was. So real good showing by that line. We'll see how long they stay together. I thought Erik Karlsson looked really good. I should also mention defensively, and I guess
Uh-oh.
And there he goes.
opportunities. What's up?
Oh, now you're back. We got you. You had a hiccup.
Okay.
You're back.
All I wanted to say was that defensively, I thought the Sharks stuck to the game plan very well, because Dallas was repeatedly trying that kind of that backdoor pass, like slip the pass through, and then at the last second there'd be Ben or Sagan or whoever parked at the side of the net trying to just stuff it home, and the Sharks repeatedly broke that play up time and time again, and Dallas never was able to score or even connect on that play. So big defensive effort there. Karlsson was one of the players who blocked a couple of those plays up, and then got the big goal that ended up being the game winner, a freaking bomb from the point. My goodness. So
that was a beauty. Kevin, you're wearing a red Sharks jersey. You're getting some requests to show it off a little bit here. Fanatical Teal Bleeder, the red Sharks jersey. You got to show us.
This would be the Hockey is for Everyone jersey.
Very nice.
And it is my Ryan Carpenter jersey that I typically wear in December because of the festive season. So, yeah.
Very nice. Getting some love over that. I just as much love as Hockey Jerks Erik Karlsson t-shirt, of course.
Yeah, I actually was gonna bring up. I really like the attire that Hockey Jerk has on this evening.
Oh,
thank you.
He's had everything on. He's even had the Stadium Series jersey on. If they were going to play in this year's Stadium Series, it just said Silicon Valley in digital code, as a huge nod to the big digital code that transpires here in Silicon Valley, of course. So, but the reason why we have Kevin on, it's his go-to.
It's to talk about the bad part of the day. Whenever you need negativity, bring Kevin on, and he'll.
That's not what we're trying to do, but we will talk about the Barracuda.
Ooh, Barracuda!
And I'll start it off with this. So, Kevin, what position do you play in roller hockey?
Defense.
Can you make a tryout for the team?
I suppose I could, considering that at this point, everybody who's on the Barracuda blue line are tryout players. And then there's Jacob Megna and Ryan Merkley, if you want to call him a defenseman. So there's that. Yeah, the Barracuda are in a tough bind right now. Obviously, they are giving up a lot of goals. And by a lot of goals, I mean Santa's bag worth of goals. And you don't usually win games when you give up 10 goals a night, 5 goals a night, 8 goals a night. And with this team, it's weird. The Barracuda are this weird team where we joke about how they've got 30 players on their roster and where are they going to fit everyone? And yet, year after year after year, we find that this team has no depth. It's unfathomable to me how that's possible. But yet, here we are. You've got Cole Moberg up from the ECHL. You've got Patrick Hallway up from wherever the heck he's up from the ECHL. You've got Matt Foley from down by the river, who's up right now. There's another plan. There's so many. They've gone through so many tryout players just trying to plug in for injuries to Mark Alt, Brinson Pashnuk. Now Artemi Knyatsev is injured as well. Malash is called up. And so you're really relying on one D pair and Nick Cicek to try and patchwork a defense together. And it's just not working right now. The Barracuda don't have the offensive talent to be able to hold the puck for too long. And so it really puts this extra stress on the defense work, the defense core that really can't handle a lot of defensive work. So it comes down to Sawchenko and Melnichuk, who just, they've been fine. They haven't been great. And right now, the only way the
The Barracuda, they came after Kevin because of everything he was saying.
There you go. We got you back, bud. Go on.
Yeah, no, I was just saying that Sawchenko and Melnichuk need to steal some wins. That's the only way the Barracuda are going to win right now with the way they've been playing. They can't hold the puck offensively. They can't defend. The amount of defending they've had to do is way too much for the core that they deploy. So it comes up to the goaltending, and it just hasn't been good enough to steal any games.
That's for darn sure. I mean, as I have in the graphic, they've allowed 24 goals in the month of December. They're 1-3 on that. They're at the bottom of the division. I think our bud Ian said it nicely. It sure is going to be wonderful to develop with this with the way that they've been playing these last few games.
Yeah. And you want to hear a horrifying stat, guys?
We love horrifying stats.
Yes. The Barracuda gave up a power play goal in their 6th straight game.
Oh.
And yet, the Barracuda penalty kill improved to 66.2% after today's game.
Oh, no.
They started at 65.6. They were a full exact 10 percentage points behind the 30th ranked Ontario Reign going into the day. The Barracuda improved by 0.6, and Ontario dropped by 0.3. So, hooray. Now the Barracuda are only 9% behind the 30th ranked penalty kill unit.
We're
That's
31.
Not very good.
We're 31.
You don't need
We're
Jersey math to understand how bad that is, everybody.
Yeah, we're a long way from 2017. I think that's fair to say.
Like the one year that the Sharks minor league team actually did something. Oh,
Yeah.
boy. Yeah, it's a tough one to take, and you feel for the guys that are down in the minors that are trying to get their call-ups for it. I guess, to use AJ's phrase, got to talk about the elephant in the room with Evander Kane. What did you see from his AHL debut tonight?
Evander Kane was what you kind of expect him to be. He showed some skill. You could see that the wheels were trying to turn, but this is a player who hasn't played any hockey in 230 days, and I don't think has touched a rink up until last week in almost as long of that time frame. So he had a couple shots in the first period, but I didn't really notice him until the third period. He had a nice rush up the ice. He wasn't that fast. It was a pretty slow rush. And, the AHL, while it's definitely faster than I think a lot of people give credit for, still not NHL speed. And Kane didn't have AHL speed today. So that's going to come. But I do think that he started to get himself involved in the play more there in the third period. And I read something about, well, he needs some time to get acclimated to his line mates and stuff. And while that's true, the -1 that just went across the board right now at the top of your screen was nothing to do with Evander Kane. And that simply was Joachim Blichfeld making a worse than beer league pass to Kane that was nowhere near him and resulted in Vancouver going the other. Vancouver. Did somebody say Vancouver? Abbotsford.
Hey, stop stealing my ideas.
Abbotsford going the other way and scoring a goal. So like Kane's -1 is definitely not on him in that case. But I think, overall, he was there. You could see he's trying to get things going. He did take a high stick from Will Lockwood right at the end of the game. So I think he was okay, but probably not pleased that he lost a couple of teeth. I think some people would be pleased that Evander Kane lost a couple of teeth, though, and then wondering who's going to front the dentistry bill for that. But I digress.
So the Cuda lose to the Abbotsford, don't call them Vancouver Canucks, 5-1. They'll play again on Sunday at 3 p.m. at the Shark Tank. Good seats still available for that one.
What? I know I'm sounding really cynical, but I do actually enjoy watching this team, I swear.
Sure. I'm kidding. Overall, guys, let's conclude with a poll question here. As I wrap this one up on here. Wait, I can do that here, can I? Yep. So 45% of our viewers are saying Timo Meier is the one that should go to the All-Star game. Hertl at 25, Reimer 14, Karlsson 16. I don't know. I'm kind of with. I kind of want Reimer to go, but at the same time, I'm also one that wants to write in Barclay Goodrow to go from the Metro division. Just saying.
Yeah, I don't know. I think Reimer would be a fun story. Don't get me wrong. Like I said before, I mean, he's playing very well. I mean, he's putting up Vezina Trophy numbers, right?
Right.
But I mean, at the same time, if you're going to tell me like, yeah, Timo Meier's going to the All-Star game in Vegas, he's going to wheel around down there, pick up maybe a hat trick, I'm down.
Kev?
For me, it's Tomas Hertl. I think he's been I know lately he hasn't been putting up too many points, though he did get the goal tonight, and I think he scored in the last game as well. But I think just overall, Tomas Hertl has been the player to really pick the team on his back and carry them time and time again. Timo Meier has really taken steps to get back to where I think we all thought he should be these last 2 years. But for me, it's Hertl. Reimer would be an awesome story. But, I mean, when we're already worrying about James Reimer's workload, granted, an all-star game, really, there's no such thing as a workload in that case. But still, I'm fine with just letting him hang out with his family for a couple extra days and just relax in the Bay Area and not worry about travel and all that. So Tomas Hertl is my pick.
And that's the thing. Like I don't know if you were on earlier, but we kind of talked about it. Like everybody that was up in that poll is not a bad choice.
No,
right?
really not. Karlsson either.
And that's kind of the unfortunate thing about the way the NHL chooses the All-Star rosters is there's always going to be players who should be there, like by definition should be there, that just won't be there.
Yeah, no, I completely, all four are worthy of it, but the Sharks will be lucky to get one because it's going to be filled with Golden Knights. And and no disrespect to them, but right now they're behind in the standings with them. I mean, do you go Mark Stone? No. Do you go Max Pacioretty? He's been hurt. Do you go?
He's been really good since he's come back, though. I will say that.
Absolutely, he's been wonderful for my fantasy team, which I appreciate immensely. So with Reimer and Hertl and Karlsson, but I digress. But yeah, it's going to be littered with Golden Knights. I wouldn't be surprised if they get at least 4 guys going in there. But it's always fun to see them, and it's going to be great to have them be booed by all the Knights fans in attendance. But it should be a fun weekend. Now, Jerk, I know you're broadcasting tonight from the Bellagio, but are you planning on attending any of the festivities, if they have any festivities for All-Star Weekend?
Yeah, I mean, it would be awesome to, right? Obviously, the price is going to determine a lot of that. I mean, these kinds of things are expensive as it is, and then you factor in the Vegas Strip surcharge, if you will, and we'll kind of see. But if they do like some kind of free fan fest kind of a deal, yeah, I might wheel through there, see what they got cooking. But it'd be cool. It'd be cool to check out. But as if I'll, will I be in the actual building? Hard to say. I'm leaning towards probably not, but never say never.
If Erik Karlsson is the Sharks nominee, you have to wear that shirt around and try it. This is my guy. This is my guy.
You'd be like, nice pads? Hey, look at my nice lawnmower, you F&B.
I was going to say, all of a sudden, all-star lawnmowers are the trending sale there. Number 1 on NHL Shop.
That's funny.
And it's funny because if I did that, nobody would understand it.
That's true. Some comments in the chat. Julio Vindel, I don't think the Sharks are battling a playoff spot without Reimer. Completely. I mean, he's kept them in it for a number of games for sure, and he's been fantastic.
Here's the thing I think about James Reimer, though, guys, that people don't. I mean, James Reimer's my guy. Like, I love James Reimer. And I know I'm not the only one on this panel or a part of Teal Town USA who feels that way. But his rebound control is not good. That is his one glaring flaw. So I do have to give a lot of credit to the defensive core that we don't always give credit to, because they do clean up a lot of messes in the slot, in the crease. And it's not pretty. A lot of it is very frantic, but nights like tonight prove that the Sharks are capable of helping Reimer out just as he helps them out. So,
big time. Now, one thing, kind of going back to the CUDA, is it too much for the CUDA to play the Canadian anthem? Like,
dude,
really,
okay.
People? Keep it brief, Kev.
So for those of you who are unaware, Abbotsford, obviously based in British Columbia, the only Canadian team in this division, and it's the first time that Abbotsford has visited San Jose. So no idea why the Canadian anthem did not play. I imagine it was just a complete brain fart. It shouldn't happen. And as soon as that happened, when I immediately got on my phone, and I guarantee that won't happen tomorrow.
It better not. It better not.
Because I immediately got on the phone and got in touch with my contact, and I was like, that's not good, and immediately got a four face palm reaction from that person. So,
well, and that's what I was curious about. Like, was it just that they forgot, or like was there some gamesmanship involved?
I truthfully think they didn't even think about it. And the person that I contacted has nothing to do with presentation, anything like that. But I was like, this is not good. This is not going over well. And some people on Twitter noticed that right away. So, yeah.
It's
I cannot imagine that's going to happen again tomorrow.
no. They probably went.
I mean, you'd hope.
Yeah, I mean, they probably thought Vancouver's affiliate was still in the U.S. I mean, it just moved from Utica, New York, to Abbotsford, BC. You know, it could be something like, oh, yeah, they're still in the U.S. It's still, what's this Abbotsford, thing, which, come on, you need to know better. So they better play it tomorrow, or else,
Right.
heads will roll. And considering I'm going to interview a gentleman from Vancouver this coming week. Yeah, guys, let's not make any more mistakes, because those get magnified up there big time. Yeah. So,
and here's the thing with the Barracuda is that everything's down right now. Like, there's nothing positive. There's no positive spin on this team right now at all, other than, yes, they are in last place. They stink at a lot of statistical categories, but they still only have 2 or 3 wins fewer than most of the rest of the division. They still only have 2 or 3 losses more than the rest of the division. So it's not like they're out of it already. Like, we're writing this team off 6 weeks into the season, into the AHL season. But the Barracuda do need to figure some things out. And we can save this for another day, because it'd be a pretty long show otherwise. But I know I have fielded a lot of questions from people saying, like, is it time for a culture change? And I'm not talking player personnel. I'm talking management issue with this organization. And, there are things that could be said. We'll save it for another show. But right now, I will.
And there he goes.
And yeah, part of that personnel removal is Kevin Lacey.
The timing of that is hilarious. Oh my gosh. John, $5 super chat donation. Can we get that custom jersey to buy Jerk? We'll maybe work on that for
Dude,
sure.
we need to have a conference call about this, because John is pumping it up. Fanatical Teal Bleeder's talking about it. One other person talks about it as well. That might need to be the next t-shirt. Not the full design like that. I think a solid black or teal or gray t-shirt with like the square image on it.
Yes.
I mean, that I personally think that would be epic. I would wear the hell out of that.
Absolutely. I know you mentioned in a chat, but for audio reasons, is there any update on Knyzhov? I thought you heard he was kind of off crutches this week.
Yeah, the thing is, we've heard nothing, so that tells me that he's just still rehabbing. Obviously he had the surgery, and I believe he was given an 8-week timeline. So kind of just in a wait and see situation.
Yeah. So we will wait and see when he gets ready to go for sure. So, in case you missed anything or you want to watch this again, check us out on tealtownusa.com or your favorite podcatcher, whether it's Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, YouTube. Smash that subscribe button. Hit that notification bell. That'll notify you when we go on the air after every game, as well as Pucknologists getting ready on Sunday night, 7 p.m. Pacific. So check out that. Of course, also audio-wise, SoundCloud, Spotify, TuneIn, and iHeartRadio, and of course, always available at tealtownusa.com. So, Kevin, you were on the verge of saying something as I went to that graphic, so I'll let you be the first for your final thoughts.
I just wanted to slip in because you're asking about Knyzhov. I don't really have an update on Santeri Hatakka either. He was down with the Barracuda on a conditioning assignment and disappeared. So I would say that's never good when your player on conditioning assignment can't play games to condition himself. So that says to me there's some kind of injury going on. He's missed 2 in a row. Not good.
That's not good.
People just keep taking Kevin out. They're tired of him talking.
Right? Mow it for EK, as John says in the super chat. John, thank you.
Shout out to John.
Right? Absolutely. So
The face that it froze on me there, it was hilarious.
Oh, a couple of them have been great. So that's terrific. And for once, it's not my fault, which is, no,
it
no
really
offense,
isn't.
Kevin.
Something's going on with my internet right now. I don't know.
Gotcha. Well, appreciate the smiles and everything, guys. Oh, yes.
My final thought, real quick. Happy trails to Ben Bishop. We got to give a little bit of love to Ben Bishop because real upsetting that he's unable to continue his career. He gave up 8 goals on 34 shots the other night in a rehab start for Texas and said, that's it. I'm done. My knee can't take this. So considering that it was 3 years ago, he had a .930 save percentage. That's a shame that he's has to go out this way. But Dallas still has 3 goalies, and we beat one of them tonight. That's my final thought. I'm Kevin Lacey.
He's at Kevin Lacey 22 on the Twitter machine. I'm at PuckGuy14 on the Twitter, the Instagram. Jerk, your final thoughts.
Final thoughts. If a Erik Karlsson lawnmower t-shirt from tealtownusa.com is something you're interested in, send me a tweet at @hockey_jerk on Twitter. Just tweet me anything. Just send a tweet. And depending on the number of commitments that come through, the powers that be may need to have a conversation about it. I had one other thing, but I don't remember, which means it was not important. Back to you.
Does that shirt come in turtleneck size?
That's the beautiful thing of designing the shirt and deciding to make it up is we can do whatever we want.
Yeah, absolutely. Of course, you'd ask for a turtleneck, of course. Guys, I appreciate it. I know it was kind of a last minute, so I thank you, both of you for joining on. You guys are absolute beauts, no matter what. As we head out, one more super chat donation earlier from Skylar. Today's win is for Steve Cropper. Rest in peace. For those who don't know, Steve was one of our long-standing supporters of the show. We may not have agreed on everything each other said, but as Jerk says, we can disagree but still be friends. And Steve was one of them. I mean, he had a puck collection that kind of makes my collection look like nothing. And unfortunately, Steve passed away. We heard in his sleep this morning. Good guy, great hockey fan. If you ever saw the big teeth chomping up and down at the Sharks game, that was usually Steve's thing. So Steve, as a honestly on a military appreciation night, as an Army vet, we salute you. We thank you for what you did in your service, and we're thinking about you. We're thinking about your family and such. May you rest in peace, my friend. And that'll do it for us. We will talk to you tomorrow night following Pucknologists at 7 p.m. Steve, we love you. Rest in peace, my friend.